welcome to the first ever Elevate podcast. We've been wanting to do this for a while, and here we are.
Yeah. How many months? September,
Yeah.
October, November, December. Yeah. So we're here. We're going to be talking about our elk hunting experiences through first-time elk hunter archery, for first-time archery elk hunters, and not just professionals telling you what you need to do.
Yep.
We're going to tell you how it actually goes down, or failures or successes, which it was pretty successful compared to.
I mean, that's the thing about elk hunting is you can't quantify it on. As a whitetail hunter, I go, it's a bad season if I don't get anything.
Yeah.
But with elk hunting, it's so much more than just harvesting game. Yeah. So I would call it absolutely a successful elk hunt. I mean, it's about what you learn. It's not about the journey. It's about the friends you make along the way.
Just me and you.
and suffering.
Yeah. Suffering, getting gonorrhea,
whoa,
drinking water.
God, I think you mean Giardia.
Same difference.
Not at all.
So, anyways, we're going to dive kind of deep into our story and talk about, the hunting experience. We're from Michigan, so obviously this is a new experience for us. I grew up in Colorado, so I knew where this area we were going to, but I never got to go elk hunting when I was out there. I was always too young. I never had the chance. No one ever wanted to take me, so this has always kind of been a dream. And you grew up kind of like out in Montana, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is for those that don't know, we're brothers. I don't even know if we didn't even really touch on that. Well, we born and raised Michigan, and then I think it was about the time that you were 6 years old, I think is when everybody moved out west. They had to wait until I graduated high school for some reason. I would have gladly gone with you, but instead you guys moved out there, and so you were out there living that life while I was stuck in. I appreciate Michigan now, but at the time I was like, I don't want to live here, man. This place sucks.
Yeah, no one wants to live here.
This is nothing. But
yeah.
I guess before we get too far into the elk hunt, we should probably talk about Elevate and what it is and why we kind of created it. I think it started like most YouTube channels. I think we were just going to do what we love to do.
Yeah.
And decided we might as well record it and make it profitable for ourselves and for other people. And
yeah, I mean, it's just I wanted to make it together, and it's just you see too much I don't know how you explain it. We want to be real, super real.
Well, it's I think it's the pitfall of social media. Is people only show you what they want you to see. Yeah. It's all glamorized. Chris B is never going to show you
failure.
Him blowing up his bow while shooting 3D archery. He doesn't want you to see that. He wants you to see everything crisp and clean and him being this incredible hunter. But if you're a real hunter, you know that that's all earned through hard work and learning. There's a learning curve that goes with it, and a lot of guys don't really want to show you that side of it.
No, and I mean, that's the point is when I posted that video on TikTok of my bow exploding, it blew up and I absolutely got obliterated in the comment sections. But, at first it kind of bothered me slightly, but now it is whatever. Everyone, you might not have blown your bow up, but everyone's going to have some kind of experience of a failure. And we just want to highlight that we're just regular people. And that's kind of what we're going to dive into in this podcast is that you can just go do an elk hunt. And for a lot of us, we watch these YouTubers like Chris B, Elk Shape, Cameron Haynes, and it's always just kind of this idolized thing that we're going to do in the future. But we a lot of people don't actually do it. And I remember growing up with Grandpa and always watching the outdoor channels and stuff and then always wanting to do it. But it just... their lives, it never happens. And so
especially living in Michigan, you get trapped going I'm just a whitetail hunter and that's all I'll ever be.
Yeah and it's annoying because you like it's what you want to do, but it just seems so far fetched because you see all these people on the internet with like the 2024 Chevy Silverado that's lifted, that's got like the camper thing on it, and it's like
right. They're all, but they're all sponsored.
Yeah.
And they're guys like they've gone on the grind for sure. I don't want to discredit any of those guys, but it's all glamorized, and it seemed like you don't have to have the brand new truck. We took my Ford Taurus out there. We can get into why we took my Taurus.
Yeah.
But we didn't even bring a truck with us because we were like, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be limited by, not having endless money and resources to be able to make it happen. It's an obtainable thing. And we definitely there were a few advantages that we had that other hunters didn't have.
Oh yeah.
But not a ton.
I mean,
we're balling on a budget.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why this podcast is going to be unique, is because you are further in your life than I am. So I had to really be on a budget, and you got the ability to kind of like, like normal, but I really had to watch my, what I was spending on. And so we got a unique twist of how your budget was bigger than mine. Then this is what you chose, and my budget's small, and this is what I chose, but we both ended up on a successful hunt, and it just proves that it doesn't matter.
Right.
And yeah, obviously, some things my backpack could have been more comfortable, but I just didn't have the budget in it, for it.
Right. So yeah, I guess, we can kind of get into where all this started. I'm married with 3 kids, and so doing things spontaneous like you are able to do because you are married but you don't have kids.
Yeah.
You don't have like those type of responsibilities that kind of keep you locked down. That made it even more of a pipe dream to want to go hunting and to go elk hunting out west. It's one thing to take your bow and go sit in a tree stand near your house, but to drive 20 hours across the country, and pour all these time and
2
resources
weeks.
and energy in 2 weeks of not being able to help out at home and having to
no income.
Yeah. And and to not, I have to save my vacation and be careful with it and all these things. So it was something like we had talked about it for a while, like I really want to go elk hunting, but it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen.
No, yeah, it's just one of those dream things that everyone wants to do it, but no one actually has the balls to do it.
Right. And so that's one thing that you bring to the table that I struggle with, is that you have motivated me to be like, we can do it. Like, stop overthinking it.
Yeah.
And then on the inverse, you have a tendency to go, we can do it, stop overthinking it. And then I can go like, you're way underthinking.
Yeah. Let's just go in the car.
But in this instance, you were like, basically it was like, I'm going and I really want you to go.
Yeah.
And
I got fed up.
Right.
I got fed up with, I hate talking about dreams.
Right.
And like actually being a deep passion that you can't pursue. It drives me crazy because what's the point? If I'm dreaming about it at night and it's kind of all I'm thinking about, why would I not do it? And so I was hoping you would just tag along, and I was like, I'm going this year if it's the last thing I do, because my little backstory here, not going to go too deep into it, but I gave this spot to my uncle, and what really kicked me to
that
go.
you found when you lived out there.
Yeah, what I found when I lived out there's only 2 people kind of knew about it, me and my buddy David, and my uncle was struggling for the first year, so kind of gave him the spot, and then he kept going, and he got 2 bulls, and I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I giving him this opportunity, and I'm over here just letting it go to waste and letting him get the spot and letting him get the elk and the stories, and I'm like, I'm over it. So yeah, I remember telling your wife that I'm going, and I was trying to convince her that
we were at church one Sunday, and I it's hard for me to bring those things up because it's like, hey, can you take on all the responsibility for 2 weeks while I go do this thing that I want to do. It's any guy who's married knows like those conversations are hard. And so it's something that we had talked about, but I was kicking the can down the road. And then
Yeah.
I think you ripped the Band-Aid off at church one day when you were like,
Yeah, I don't even remember exactly what I said.
I don't either, but it was definitely in the along the lines of like,
I was kind of
so
pushing it.
what do you like? I want to go elk hunting, and like, I really want Logan to go. You should totally let him go. And
Yeah. I was kind of pushing it because I didn't want to be too respectful, where it's like an obvious no.
Right.
But I was being respectful enough where it's like,
right.
You know, like, no, he's going.
Yeah, and I remember like you said that, and then I was kind of like, oh,
like all giddy. Like,
stop. Well, no, I was nervous when you said that, and I was like, I haven't even had a chance to talk with her about it yet, and because I was nervous, and then she was like, oh, you know, I think we could probably make that work, and I was like, what? And but that was like the defining moment where it was like, okay.
Yeah, that was game on for you.
Yes.
That was game on for you because you got the like approval, like that's gonna be okay. And you know, to be honest, I didn't think you were actually gonna go. And
yeah,
like you kept talking about it, and we kept talking about it, but like in my mind, it was like I didn't think he was actually gonna go. You bought a new Hoyt.
Yep.
I didn't even care because anyone can just buy a new bow. You bought, I don't know, you bought a couple like other little things.
Yeah, just odds and ends. Yeah,
like
water filters.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I was like, whatever. And then the moment that I knew it was going to get real is when he bought your Kuiu backpack. It was like $600 in December. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is going down because like, why would you buy that and then back out of the trip at that point? You can use a bow for whitetail hunting. You can buy a water filter for camping, but when you buy an elk hunting backpack and drop that kind of cheese on it,
right?
I knew that.
And and I don't need that in Michigan.
No, yeah, I mean that'd be pointless. It's stupid. Mine's sitting on the shelf right now. Right. When am I ever going to use it for whitetail hunting? But yeah, that's the moment. Because honestly, I didn't even start saving until you got the backpack. Because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just get the stuff later. Yep. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta start saving now.
Yep,
and so
it's real. And and that was like my mind, like as soon as my wife was on board with it, like everything changed. Yeah. Like everything, it got to the point where it was like, if it's not my family or work or elk hunting, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
And well, that was funny because like when it got real, that's literally all we talked about. And I feel like everyone in this town was just sick and tired of us because we just go up to random people. They'd be next to us in a group, and all we'd be talking about is elk hunting while they're there, and they have to like try to fit into our conversation.
Oh yeah, yep, and yeah, like when we went on when we went to that weekend away for church. Yeah. And we were like training and working out, and we brought our bows with us to this dinky little archery range that was meant for children because we saw on the map that there was an archery range there.
Dude, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, we went to like this men's retreat to be like better discipleship and be better men and better husbands. And dude, we were freaking getting up at like 5 while everyone in the cabin's sleeping and
running.
Yeah, like running
roads and
Did we bring our pack? Did we bring our packs?
I brought my pack, but I just brought it as basically like a suitcase.
Yeah. We brought our bows, and you go to the range, and it's like 35 yards is like the longest, and we're like, okay, and like we have to stack like 3 targets because our bows are so powerful. It just blows right through the back of them, and we're like, yeah, we took it a little too seriously at that retreat, but it's weird. And that's like the thing is like, we 100% dove into this elk hunting trip. This isn't just like, oh, we're going with our boys and we're going to crack some beers and enjoy the scenery. It was like, we're going to like mega train like we're in the military for
we're gonna suffer and be happy about it.
But it's just the hours of research that we did, and so that's why we feel confident enough to like talk on this podcast about our mistakes. So if you're watching this and you are like how we were and you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna go, this is the podcast for you, because like literally we are in your shoes, and if you've been going and you haven't had any success, this is like what we did. And I think our obsession for research really just pushed us over the top, because we went from mediocre archery hunters to like insane building our own arrows. Like I'm shooting 110 yards, going to TAC events. Like
Yep.
But that's why we had success, is like the obsession. It's so hard to be in this town and to talk to people that don't have the same mentality, because it wasn't just archery. It wasn't just like, oh, we're going to learn how to e-scout. It was like the fitness aspect, which you dove 10 times harder than I did.
Yeah, I've always really loved working out, but I've really just lifted weights and
Yeah.
a little bit of cardio here and there,
Yeah.
but mostly just like total gym bro, working out, weight training, and doing that type of stuff. And then I think that was what got me into elk shape,
Yeah.
because I had heard about I've heard about his program, but I've never paid for a program before.
No.
And Elk Shape is a really unique platform in that he genuinely wanted to help guys get good at elk hunting.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a mixed bag of all these different things, of all these different outlets that we use to research, but he genuinely really wants to help people get better at elk hunting. And he owned his own gym. He was a CrossFit trainer for years and years and years. So I was like, this dude hunts elk. He knows fitness. It's not just some Jim Bob that you know wants you to lift up jugs of water or whatever. Like, he knows what he's doing. So I committed. I paid for his membership, and I went to the gym 5 or 6 days a week. A lot of times, twice a day. I would go before work and after work, and I went. I started Elk Shape in January. It was like after the holidays.
Yeah.
It was like 239 pounds. I was
Yeah.
strong as an ox, but I was also fat.
Yeah.
And when we left for the hunt, I was 205 pounds.
Yeah. And then I'm on the complete opposite spectrum. I just walk around at 205. And before the year ago, I was 175. But I can't gain weight and I can't lose it. And when I do gain weight, that's just what I'm walking around at. So I had like no issues.
Right.
My issues was I build homes, and so I did Elk Shape with you, but it started like affecting my job because like
it's hard.
I couldn't climb up the ladder at work, and I'm the only other guy. It's just me and the boss. And you know, when you do Elk Shape, and then you got to carry 37 bundles of shingles in 90 degrees.
Yeah.
In the summertime, and you got to go up 20 feet on an extended ladder.
Yeah.
You just kind of like contemplate like I had to make money and be able to perform at work to be able to go on this elk hunting trip, and so I just dropped out of it because it wasn't worth me being like overdrained, because I'm doing this stuff for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day.
Elk Shape is real, man. It's the real deal. Like, that's probably the biggest piece. If people ever ask me like, what should I do to get in shape for elk hunting, from just like flabby dad bod to I want to be in killer shape, that's like the number one thing. I mean, there's like Mountain Tough. I can't really speak on the ones that I haven't done, of course. I know those are good, but I know Elk Shape, for me, it was like $30 a month. I did it religiously, and I saw serious results.
Oh yeah, and it's not just you that's all result. Everyone noticed it, and like Grandma Tina noticed it, and all, you know, and it's just crazy that like it would just like your aura changed, your mentality changed.
But it also, like, the side of it that you don't consider as much as, and it's a massive part of elk hunting, is the mental endurance.
Oh yeah,
that it takes to be able to do that. Like, it's hard, man. Like, my alarm went off at 4:45 every morning.
Yeah,
there's no snooze. Get up.
Yeah.
Get up. Kill a glass of water. That's a great way to start your day. Glass of water. And
shout out water.
Yeah, shout out water. I don't know if you've heard of it, but water. And then double scoop pre-workout, go to the gym, stretch, and get after it. And to be able to look at the lineup, you know, like I would go to bed every night, open up that app, look at it, and be like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
But you do it, and you're like, I don't want to do 30 burpees. Do it anyway. And if you can do that for 9 straight months, dude, elk hunting is easy.
Yeah, and and then I want to get into. I don't know why my voice is cracking so much.
It's cold, dude.
Because we're doing the podcast, it's got to crack like 15 times. No, I want to get into my trifecta. I've talked to you about it, but basically, I broke down the core characteristics of elk hunting. When I was out elk hunting, I had really deep, like, physiology. Like, I felt like it was deeper to me because I was going through so much. I'm not going to dive into it, but that's why I've kind of been blank on the channel for 5 months, is because I just was going through so much. And, for a lot of people, your elk hunt is going to be this miserable hiking through the woods. For me, it was a vacation through all the hell I was going through in my real life. And so it was like relaxing to be in the woods and to do that kind of stuff. But to get back to it, the 3 things I want to talk about is your physical shape, your mental shape, and your strategic shape. And if you're not well-rounded in all of those, you're not going to make it elk hunting. And so physical shape, if you're 350 pounds and you're 5'6", you're not going to be able to go elk hunting. I guarantee it, unless you're going to be shooting one out of a truck, which is illegal. Your mentality, like the days, we're going to dive into the elk hunting here soon, but when the days where there was nothing, the days where it's hot, the days where it's raining, the days where your feet are wet, pooping on the side of a mountain, like if you're not mentally tough, it will ruin you.
I think that's like the big thing, like all these elk hunting influencers and stuff, like they talk about it, and I think it's easy to like roll your eyes, like, oh, you just, like Joe Rogan, like, mental toughness, but dude, it's the key to everything.
It is. It's the top of the triangle, and then strategic. I have ADHD. I was going a million miles an hour, but I feel like that helped us. Being able to have a strategic plan, and you don't even have to have it set in stone. There's so many times on that trip where I was like, we're going here, left, right, up here. We're going to be back at 4 o'clock, and then the elk bugles, and everything switches like that. If you can't rope in all those elements in elk hunting, you're not going to be successful. And I think that was like the core. There's a whole bunch of other details and stuff, whatever, but like that's like your main core thing. So if you're not tough now, get tough.
Physical fitness is a great way to get there.
Yeah, yours is physical fitness. Mine's construction. So 112 degrees out, and I'm framing or whatever. That obviously makes you tougher. Physical, we're both physically fit, and the strategic was something new, and that's something we had to work out there. But it was such an advantage.
But I think even strategy, like strategy, is a thing that you learn. Like it's taking in the environment, figuring out what works and doesn't work. But even that's a testament to mental endurance or mental toughness, to be able to be like, people just want to stay in their comfort zone. Like strategy is going like, I don't want to go down that horrible basin, but I have to. And it's like, I was physically fit, like I was in the best shape of my life. And I've continued to do it. I still am in fantastic shape. The mental side of it is what came into play first. Like when you look at that and you're like, I don't want to go down that basin. I can do it physically. But I'm thinking about tonight.
It takes a long time.
Out.
And that's the difference in our elk hunting game. But that's why we paired so well, is that, like he said before, I just want to go down there. I don't even think about tonight. I'm going down there. You have the ability to be like, hold back. Do you want to die and not be sore in the morning?
Like, dude, what are we gonna do? What's the end game here? Well, sometimes it's great to have someone to be like, who cares? Let's go. But then other times it's nice to be able to have someone go like, I feel what you're saying, but also this is a huge factor that you're not considering.
And that's part of the strategic, because it worked out very well. It was well balanced where, some days where you were like, we probably need to chill. And it was like, we actually do, because we go down there and we might blow them out or whatever. And then there's other days where it's like, we're just going. And then that's where we have some success. But let's just dive into the elk hunt. Enough about like, you know, our preparation and whatever. We're gonna get started. So basically, I want to get into the
I have to piss again. Potty break.
So I want to get into the beginning of the hunt.
Yeah.
I talked a little bit about budget, and I kind of want to just hit that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't have a huge savings account. I'm 22 years old. I'm an independent contractor, so it's not the best life. I'm gonna be honest with you. You have to have a passion for that kind of work, because it just kills you. But that's where my mental toughness exceeded in this hunt. Just because my everyday life is just crap. It's just always something. -10 outside in the winter storm, doing siding or something.
Count it all joy.
Yeah, and so, but I'm passionate about it. But so for you guys that are out there that are like me, and you don't think you can do it because of money, how about $50 aside per week after I found out you were serious? What we were talking about when you got his backpack, and was I faithful to that $50 a week? No, I wasn't. But you know, I had a $50 per week budget, and that might be a lot for you, but I calculated in hours. It's like 2 hours worth of work. Work 2 hours extra, do something to get that $50 a week. And the problem is we never had the gear, so we had to buy everything. So I probably spent like $3,000,
including tags.
And so that's where you guys are gonna go over your roller coaster hump. So my idea was get the necessaries, get the good stuff that I wanted, like my tent and my bow, my arrows. Get the good stuff, and you can always upgrade later. So this year is going to be our second year, and it's going to be the upgrading phase for me. For you, you have a better job than me. You've been alive longer than me. You've been in the.
I'm 34. You're 22. Yeah. I'm a little bit more well established.
Exactly. So you got to straight up just get better quality equipment.
Well, I had kind of the same mindset as you. Like there were certain things that I didn't want to buy again.
Yeah.
Like my backpack. I didn't want to buy it again.
No.
Like the clothes that I wore, like I bought Born Primitive clothes because I just like I got really good deals on them. Like I don't have to buy them again.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly.
This jacket and that, like for whatever reason I wore this Kuyu shirt today, but like I don't have to buy them again. I just have them, and but. You know, again, there are other things where I was like, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. There are things that I'm willing to buy again because I have other applications for them. I have no need to buy another elk hunting backpack. So why would I not buy
the one
right off the rip? I can use a tent.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like backpack. I went to General Gyms and which is like a military surplus. So I literally got this backpack, which I think there's a blood stain on it. I don't know if someone died in it or what, but you know, it's made out of canvas, so it weighs 65 pounds without anything in it. But it was like $100, so you can't go wrong with that. Balling on the budget. We're gonna have to do a video on. We've been intending to do a video on that for so long, but my situation recently just prevented us from doing that. But that's not the point of this video. But we just wanted to get that out of the way. You know, like. You guys can do it if you're not making that much money, and it's a possibility. It's a sacrifice. You can use that money for something else. You can, you know, put it in the savings account,
right? Or
you can go elk hunting and do cool stuff.
Yeah, and then, like you buy, and that's another testament to mental fortitude. Like I had I promise you, my backpack was 10 times more comfortable than yours.
Oh, for sure.
I didn't have to dig deep in my mental toughness bank and make constant extractions from the bank of mental toughness because I have this miserable boulder on my back. I have a backpack that was designed for that purpose. Yeah. You know, that's another testament to mental fortitude.
Yeah, and that's I knew it was going to be crap. I knew the backpack's going to suck, but I had to do what I had to do.
Bring extra tampons.
But so you can do it. You guys can do it for sure. I don't make that much money. So just letting you know that doesn't have to stop you. It's priorities. I put my priorities at elk hunting first. Let's get into the hunt, you know. Let's get it. So pretty much we started late.
There was
Someone's
a lot.
Dog was dying or whatever.
Oh my gosh, there was so much stuff that went into like because for you it was like living situation. You changed jobs.
Yeah, I
twice
had so much. My truck broke down,
and that was kind of, dude. That was like the whole summer. Like we had to constantly. I think at one point, like it was funny because we had a conversation where I was going like in the background with all the crap that we had to deal with. I was like, is God trying to shut the door on this?
Dude, I thought the same thing.
And then we had a conversation, and we were like, and you obviously have to be open to that type of thing, and go like, and listen to your convictions, and go like, is God trying to shut the door on? And for the final straw for me was like, we were planning on taking your truck the whole summer, and you knew that you had like a tie rod. Was it a tie rod?
I had one ball joint.
A ball joint. That's what it was.
And I fixed it.
Yeah.
But then I took it into the shop. I said, can you guys make sure that my truck's going to make it? Yeah. And he goes, I can't believe you're even running it on the road right now. He's like, I'd be scared.
You will die.
He's like, I'd be scared to go home tonight. And I was like, what you mean, boy? Driving it. And
the shake's not normal?
It's like clunking when I'm turning. And so I changed one. I didn't even look at the other three.
That was, what, like 5 days before we were getting ready to leave?
Yeah. And then, the place that we were staying at, I don't know if it's because of the elk hunt, but I'm just going to say our landlords for the situation. Mm-hmm. They're like, when you get back, you don't have a place to be at within a month. And so I was like, well, do I go on the elk hunt and blow money and not work for 2 weeks and not have money and then come home and be homeless, or...
Yeah, so it was.
I texted you like, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it. Honestly, like a week before, and Logan's like, bruh. Like,
I was thinking about going by myself. My wife was not about that.
No, and so luckily I talked to my wife because I spent so much money getting the gear and a lot of money for me, and she said just do it anyways. And we figured it out. Yeah, we came back, figured it out. It took months, but it was like,
well, you switched jobs and you weren't sure if, and this was like, what, a month beforehand? And you weren't sure if he was going to be, like, you had to just be honest in the interview.
Yeah.
And we were, so again, it was like, we're good. We're not good.
We're not, yeah.
We're good. We're not good. Like, that was all summer, dude. That was the whole summer that we dealt with that stuff. Yeah. So then we ended up leaving. Yeah. And then the morning that we went to leave, I think it was like September 7th. It was the first like Saturday. I think it was the first Saturday in September.
Yeah.
And and we were dog sitting. Yeah. My wife's parents' dogs, and I wake up in the morning and there's freaking bloody puke all over my house because overnight they had gotten into a bag of dog food and ate until their stomachs like ruptured, and I mean they didn't rupture, but they were so sick that they started puking, and there was this pukey blood. So we were planning on leaving it. Like, I got up at like 4:30 in the morning, and we were gonna hit the road, and we didn't. I ended up going to the vet with my wife because she was freaking out.
Yeah, it was a bad situation.
So it was really bad.
And I'm heartless. I was like, let him die.
No, I was like, I cannot leave with this disaster. Like, lead your family. And I was like, I cannot. I can't.
Yeah.
I have to do this for my wife. Like, if we have to leave half a day, oh well.
Yeah.
Deal with it. So we ended up going to the vet. They got checked out, and everything was good to go.
Yeah. And we boogied out of there and started our way. And the drive out there is it's boring.
It is what it
is. So we jammed to music, listened to podcasts.
Nebraska was like slap happy. Like, we were basically drunk. Nebraska was the last quarter of Nebraska. And then into Colorado.
Yeah. We went to
Wyoming, and then into Colorado was just like, dude.
We're running on fumes in our brain. Like,
like great. Like, I haven't felt that way since I used to stay up all night.
Yeah, when you get all giddy
when
and
I was
stuff.
15 years old.
Yeah, you're like 2 a.m. like, yeah. And you just crash.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we get into Colorado. My parents still live there. Yeah, and so I'm not even gonna get into that. And so, we spent the day relaxing. We got into town at 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. So we spent the Sunday just chilling, coming with game plans, getting our gear prepared, and then Monday we started out. And so we go hiking up the mountain, and as we're hiking, turn around, there's a moose that we can see.
Yeah, that was like, okay.
Yeah. So it started getting real, and what is a 5.5 mile hike.
It was long. Yeah, it was super far. We it's just one of those things where you're like, well, we could bushwhack up the side of this mountain, and it'd probably take twice as long with 65 pounds on our backs. And
Yeah.
we ended up just deciding to walk up a logging road or whatever,
Yeah.
and just a wide open trail and a lot of switchbacks, and it took forever, but it definitely was the least fatiguing way to get there.
Yeah, and then that's strategic. That falls into that plan because this is all public land. Just to make it clear, I mean, obviously we didn't even say at the beginning of this, but it's all public. And when we were looking on the maps, it's like if we go in through that way, that's where probably everyone's going to come through.
Mm-hmm.
But if we go in through this way, it's less distance. And like no one's going to go through this way. So we chose that, which saved us.
Turned out it didn't really matter because there wasn't another hunter
Yeah.
on that entire mountain. Like, where are you guys
Seriously.
at? What are you doing?
So, yeah. So we had a rough area where we wanted to go put our base camp. And so our strategic idea is I don't want to carry my 70-pound pack with me everywhere I go through the woods. And so what me and Logan agreed to is that we're going to build a base camp up high, way up high. We were like 9,500 feet. And what we're going to do is we're going to have these big day packs. We're going to load up in the morning. We're going to take our mini day packs, survival stuff, whatever we needed, rain jackets, extra clothes, lunch. And then we're going to go find the elk. And then every night we'll come back to the base camp because
no bivouac.
no,
Not about it.
no. And you're going through, we're going through the timber and stuff. You don't want to go through that. And so,
I think it depends on where you're hunting.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it depends on the situation. Where what we were doing did not require us to take camp with us everywhere.
No,
went.
and-
sometimes you have to. Where we didn't have to do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and we didn't need to do that. And so, to describe the landscape, if you put your hand out and spread your fingers out, and you kind of tilt it down, each finger's a ridge. And so we had all these ridges, and so we were camping way up high, like on your wrist. And so we set up camp. Well, no, we'll go back. So we're hiking up. We go to that field.
Oh yeah, because we scouted out where we wanted to camp, like a general camp location on Onyx.
Yeah.
And we were just going to that location.
Yeah. And so we finally get there, and my brain just
When
froze.
we got to that spot, we walked through the clearing, and there's like a wall of trees, and you look, like what is that?
Yeah, I thought it was like a boat or a
It
kayak
looked like
or
a
something.
flipped over boat, and then we
Yeah.
walked up to it, and it was a tent.
Yeah, there's a tent.
It was a Sitka tent.
Yeah, and then and the whole time we were out there, there's like no signs of anyone being in there, which is weird.
No squished down grass,
Nothing.
no food, no packs,
Just
nothing.
a tent, and like a $high tent with like a $high. We looked inside, and so we're like, screw this. We're not gonna be anywhere. If this is another hunter, we don't know. So we go into the woods. Boom, there's a creek. Not even on the map. Nothing. This just this nice luscious creek. There's vegetation everywhere. We look. There's elk sign everywhere in this camp, and we're like, yeah, we just found the jackpot, boys. So we set up camp. I have the Haven XL tent. You have what?
I ended up buying like an MSR.
Oh, yeah.
ground tent.
So we set up camp, and we found a great location. Water's 20 feet away from us. We don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So
We could sleep every night with the sound of a babbling brook.
yeah, exactly. So you don't have to hear the grizzly bear attacks or anything.
Yeah, right.
So
Screaming.
yeah, so I can just fall asleep with a nice sound of the creek. But yeah, let's jump into the first day.
Yeah.
So the first we had
The plan was to go like where Dougie went.
we had prior information that that's where the elk were the year before.
Right.
And so we basically made our plan off of going to that spot at first. So like I said, if you got your hand, this is kind of like a map, like a detailed map for you guys. So we went all the way to the Pinky, and we started exploring, and we came from the top and went down, and all these fingers and all these ridges had creeks in them. So there was so much water that it's hard to pinpoint. It's not like you go to New Mexico and you find a pond or a creek and you're like, oh, that's where the elk are going to be.
Right.
We had literally so much vegetation, so much water. It was so thick, and basically we just had to play hide and go seek with these elk until we could start finding them. So
Well, there was sign everywhere, but like I think by day 2, we realized like this sign is days, if not weeks old. Like there was sign everywhere. The mountain was covered in poop.
We can't even be dramatic about it. It's not. I can't. I try to like tell people how much sign there was. Literally every footstep that you had, you were stepping in a track. And if it was dry, if it was fresh, it was like mind blowing how much sign there. It literally like we had to get over that like mental barrier of like they're here, because it was just too much sign. There's no way you could track where they were going. So basically, all came down to visuals, and I'm so glad we didn't buy that spotting scope, because we thought that binoculars and we'll sit up on a ridge and look across. It was so freaking thick, and we couldn't even glass none of that. So our elk hunt became like, okay, yeah, we're gonna glass, we're gonna find them. It went to like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a lot harder than we think to find them.
Miles and miles
of just walking and hearing and visual. That's the only things we had, and we couldn't even use our visual. So it came down to like walking around till we could see them, and there was so much sign. It's like we don't even know where to start.
Right.
And so we were on the Pinky, and we just see fresh sign. We're like, okay, they got to be here, but there's nothing. You don't hear anything. The weather was kind of warm, and it's our first day. And
it was a half a day. We got up early, set up camp. We spent a half day on that in that one basin, and I remember seeing sign it going like,
this is where they're at.
They're here.
Yeah, and then we saw some fresh poop and like beds, and they're laying down like in the tall green grass. Like it was just fresh. But I knew that there wasn't a ton of fresh activity because there wasn't enough cow poop like for cows.
And one thing, like sidebar for me now, it's the smell.
Yes,
like,
the smell.
For me, that's one thing that you can't share a smell on YouTube. You can't teach someone what it smells like when there's elk around.
But you knew as soon as you smelt it when we got into the area. As soon as we got
into the
were like, it just reeked. It just
put it in an air freshener. I want it in my nose all the time. Oh,
let's make a elevate
such an
air
incredible
freshener.
smell, man.
So we're traversing through this, right? And so I kind of knew the area when I grew up, but the ferns that we were walking through were like 4 feet tall. Yeah. And so everything was just 10 times harder because it was hard. You can go to the gym all you want, but there's nothing that's going to train you to walk through 4 foot, 5 foot ferns.
There's a net around your foot with every step.
All the time. Like we were sliding on the hill and you have to go up and it's constantly and dragging onto you.
At 45-degree angle. So you're walking. I got so pissed off from walking sideways for hours. Like that was the thing.
I remember that.
Gosh, the ferns were irritating. Walking sideways for hours on end was like the one thing where I was just like, it just never ends.
And your ankles are constantly rolling to the side. And so, day one, it was, everything is successful. We learned that they weren't really there. And then that's the day we saw that spike, right?
That was day 2. Day 1 was a half day of scouting.
Yeah.
Day 2, we were like, well, there's sign everywhere. Let's go right back there.
Yep. So, we go back and we go all the way down to the bottom again. And so, remember, we're at 9,500 feet at base camp. And the reason why I'm telling you, a lot of people think that, you got to be base camp on the bottom. Well, our thermal switched and the elk behavior was different. So, a lot of normal elk behavior you see on YouTube is, the elk go up during the day in the mountains and they come down to feed. It was completely the opposite here, which threw us off. It was the elk come up at night and they go down in the bottom. So they weren't up where we were. So the only place they are is down. And so we just traveled down all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
And
that second day, was the hardest day for me mentally. It wasn't that I wasn't mentally fit for it. Like I got mentally fit really quickly.
Yeah. But
that second day, like I heard a lot, so many of all the videos you watch, so many guys are like that. What are you going to do when that desire to quit kicks in? And everyone's like, no, that'll never happen to me. And I never ever wanted to quit, but I remember that second day, like I slept like crap.
Yeah.
We had gone up and down that mountain, walking sideways. Like again, I was never to the point where I was like, "This sucks." I was like, "This sucks" the whole time. But I wasn't. I wasn't like I want to quit. I just remember sitting. There was like halfway through the day. We just kind of sat for a little while because the wind was being weird or whatever. And I remember sitting there going like,
"Bro, yeah, because it's like
this is so much harder than I thought it was gonna be."
And it was so much steeper too, and I forgot because it's been years since I went there, and it's if you know anything about construction, it was like a 10-12 12-12 pitch, and like it was just you couldn't fathom, and going through ferns that were so thick, it was just my mind, like I tried to just brush it off, which for the most part I did, but it takes a toll on you subconsciously. For me, for you, it was more consciously. And I remember, we would go from 9,500 feet down to like 8,500 feet. And then we go down the center of the creek, right? So the higher up you're on the mountain, the less steep the valleys are. And we go all the way down the middle of the creek. Boom. Now we're in this freaking giant wedge, and the only way to get out is straight up.
And there's no runways because there was just not really a lot of. It was so thick, there was not a lot of elk activity in that.
And then the runways that were there were through the thickest crap and through the thickest trees and through the thickest scrub oak. And we go all the way down into the creek, and then we're like, okay, so lesson learned: don't go down into the creek unless the elk are there.
Right.
It's because we had to hike out just to get to the ridge, and then you have to hike right up the ridge just to get back to camp. And so it was just draining. But that first day we're walking back up onto the ridge after we finally get out of the bottom of that hellhole, and stop. I see an elk body up there, and it was just a spike.
But it was like
yes, finally,
it's an elk.
Yeah, that's an elk. Like
the confirmation that they're not, because your worst fear is like they were here a week ago and now they're on 2 ranges over.
Seriously.
And we have to go pack up camp and follow them.
We have
to go.
Yeah. And so we set up, the wind was perfect. They didn't even hear us, smell us coming. So we wanted to kind of like do like a little practice thing, see if they're even calling. Cause September, it was hot for this time of year, which is just not normal. And so we didn't know if they were just quiet, not getting in the rock. So we throw up, you got your bow ready just in case something crazy happened. And I started doing some cow calls.
I was more in the mindset of like, I'll take, like you wanted to risk it all for a bull.
Yeah.
And I was more in the mindset of like, I just want to get something.
Yeah.
I would have, I don't think that I would have taken, I don't know. I would have had to do a lot of mental evaluation if the opportunity arose.
Yeah, if he was right there.
But if it was day 9 of a 10-day hunt,
oh yeah, for sure.
Probably take that spike.
Yeah. And so, we get set up. We kind of cut back towards the north, and we work our way around. We're keeping our eyes on them. Then we lose them, and so we get above them, and because the thermals were kind of being weird at that time, 5:30ish, they started getting weird. So we go up above them and start cow calling. Just hear them coming. We're like, oh boy. And then the thermals switch like that right in the middle of it. And he just goes away. We didn't get, I don't even know how close he got. But
that was our first experience with
first
elk.
experience. And then that's something we kept track of. We kept track of when the thermal switched. In the morning, it was 9 o'clock. It went from blowing down the mountain. So we couldn't even go down in there until 9 o'clock. And then at 5:30, 6 o'clock, the thermals went up.
Right.
So we had to be boogieing up the mountain above the elk before that crucial time, because we just learned in that little situation that it can go like that in a couple of seconds. And so that's something part of our strategic plan that we learned.
Yeah. And this is like, we're not going to get into the specificities of where we're hunting, obviously, but like where we were hunting restricted mobility a little bit. I think if we were hunting on another area of land, having a truck to be able to go down in the morning, hunt the basin in the morning, and then move
Yeah.
Because we left essentially 4 hours of hunting on the table every morning by not being able to hunt up from the bottom in the morning before the thermal switch.
And that's what sucked is like we couldn't go down to the bottom because there was just this private property.
Once you're down there, you're trapped.
Yeah, and so we couldn't get that like before dark hunt because of thermals. And like if you are trying to push elk and your thermals are bad, they're just gonna be gone.
Yep.
And you won't even know that they were even there. So that was our patience. We even though we didn't want to, we had to wait until the thermal. So I'd be sitting up on top of the mountain with my little squeeze bottle, boom, boom. Okay, no, boom, boom, and then we look at the clock. Okay, it's almost 9. Boop, boop, and then it starts kind of swirling, and then boop, boop, it's going right up, and it's like, okay, let's boogie down, let's go. And so we just tucked down. So the second day we saw the spike, and we kind of knew game on. But when we got back to camp, I kind of we had some service on our phone, so I whipped out my phone and I'm doing research as we were there. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that you can just do that. If you have the abilities to do that, do it. And so the research I figured out is that like when they're in the rut, the bigger bulls will just kick off the tiny spikes and whatnot, and they'll just go be by themselves away from the cows. Right. And I knew that we had to start moving over the fingers and start working our way until we could find them, because that verified that they were in the rut. He came to a cow call, and then he's pushed out by himself. Right. And so I knew, dude, like they're in the rut.
And this is an adaptive strategy. Why would we go into the same basin that we just spent the last day and a half hunting when they're not there? We know they're not there. And I think that's one thing where guys, they get comfortable and they will go like, especially like with Uncle Dougie, where he had taken 2 bulls successfully out of there. I'm not saying he would, but a lot of hunters would go like, I've been successful multiple years in a row. This is my spot. I'm going to stay here. Well, why?
No, and that's
they're
why,
not there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we excelled, is because I just know that I was going crazy. Like I would literally be like, we're coming back to where the spike was at 4:30 tomorrow. And then like something would happen. I'd be like, okay, we got to go down there right now. And then I'd be like, okay, we're going to be in this aspen grove by 12:30 tomorrow. And then like my brain was literally going all over the place, but it worked out for our benefit because I'm not stuck to one plan. If we stuck to one plan, it wouldn't have been successful. So
day 3,
which
to me, was it 3 or 4? It doesn't matter.
It was 3.
The first real day. This was my favorite day of the hunt.
So
it was the worst, most miserable day. It was the best day of the hunt.
So we didn't even hear any chirping, nothing. It was all quiet.
That was the night the moose walked through our camp.
Oh yeah. So that was when we woke up. It was like 4 a.m. So I'm just laying there and I hear something and I'm like, okay. It's just raking and like just I'm like, holy crap, and this is grunting and then it's like really close to my hammock.
Sounds like a dinosaur's walking through camp.
Yeah, and then you could just hear it just raking the crap. And I'm like,
footfalls. Yeah.
And I know you were awake, so I text you like, don't get out of your tent. Whatever
you want to die? If you want to die, leave your tent. If you don't want to die, don't move a muscle.
So there's just this bull moose, and they were in the crazy rut when we were there. I don't even know how many moose we saw. It was just crazy, and he's freaking raking trees, grunting, and that's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And he's like 8 feet from my tent. Dude, he got to be. I can hear him breathing, and I was like, holy crap. And so that got us all up early in the morning, because he's like, how do you sleep after that? You don't even know if he's waiting there in the bushes. Right. As soon as you get out, it just charges you, because they don't have any common sense during the rut. And so day 3, I don't even know if we checked the weather or not, and kind of knew it was going to rain.
I think we were just so gassed up. We were like, we spent 2 days on this side of the mountain, and we decided that we were going to go hike all the way to the other side and hunt the other side.
Yeah, so we were in like ridge, your middle finger, if you're looking at the map, and we were going to hunt the north side of it, so your right side of your left-hand middle finger, and we were going to hunt that valley, that basin, and we go up there, and I just rip a fat bugle, and we heard our first bugle of the trip, and it was like, game on.
Literally could not have been any further away from where we were.
Oh yeah, it was like all the way freaking down there, and I was like, oh my gosh. And like the weather just got kind of good, and so we just started ripping down.
That was, we had to walk through that field before waterproof boots. Couldn't recommend it anymore. Because we had walked through the fresh dew on the ground. So by the time we got to where we were going, and I forgot my gaiters. And so like my boots were pretty wet. They weren't wet through, but they were wet by the time we got to that basin where you bugled. And it was, you bugled and we were like, game time, let's go.
Yeah.
Like let's they're way far down there, so we're not going to be crazy about thermals right now. We have to get in position before the thermals really start blowing uphill. Because they were so far down.
Yeah, and then we kind of knew kind of their central location based on where the sound was coming from. So then we could play the thermals and totally just go left or right and make sure that they don't smell us.
Right.
So,
but we took one step off of the mountain, rain.
Yeah,
the
seriously.
entire walk down.
Yeah, and
that's why I say it was like
and it
the
was
most
slippery.
miserable day, and that was pretty much the theme of the day was rainstorms that entire day.
Yeah, and then it would stop, and we'd sit under some scrub oaks, and then kind of they weren't bugling because it was raining, and it was like, oh my gosh, we're down here now. And like I remember walking down the ferns, it was slippery. The logs, it was slippery, and it was muddy, and we're sitting under scrub oaks, and then there's like thunder and lightning, and finally it stops. But like my feet were soaked, your feet were soaked.
Yep.
It was just wet, miserable, and then I think I ripped a fat bugle, and then boom, he's right down there.
Well, we kicked up some cows on the way down too.
Yeah, I was about to get into that.
Okay.
So like we're walking, and I just start flying, and Logan's being more cautious, and because of the rain, I'm like sliding down logs like I'm freaking hitting a ski rail.
I'm just afraid of hurting myself and ending my hunt because I'm being all caution to the wind.
And I'm like flying down the mountain, and
I'm a bit older than you. Like there are physical things like my knees that I have to be a little bit more careful on.
Yeah. So I'm going down, and boom, I see a cow's head, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I don't know if Logan sees it. So I'm like dead stop. And then the rules are if someone's like dead stop, like you stop. Like that's just any hunting rules. And so I'm like going behind me, COW, trying to spell out cow with like hand
I got it.
sign language. And this cow's just scouting me, dude. She just sees me. She finally just goes away, and I'm like, okay, our thermals are good. I was stayed still long enough. She just kind of walked away, so I didn't spook her. And then I bugle at her to try to get a location. Boom, we hear a bugle. It's up to the left of us. So we're actually below the bull. And we just fly back kind of like at a diagonal. And we're kind of on the back side of this ridge. And it kind of sounded further away, I remember. And I go up on the ridge.
Yeah, it's tricky locating location bugles is a science in itself.
Yeah. And, this part of the trip, my bugles were mediocre. I wasn't confident enough because I was scared that I was going to scare them away.
Well, we spent our whole lives not making any noise in the woods, ever. Yeah. You're whitetail hunting, you don't make any noise. And now you're being loud on purpose. Yeah. And it's a mental...
Giving away your location.
Yes, it's weird.
And I was just scared that like my bugles were going to be weak. But I rip a bugle. He's right there. We start working our way up. And he was just crest over the hill. And I remember he's in this open aspens and he's just bugling, and we're like, oh crap. And so we both me and Logan's kind of came to agreement, like whichever way the elk goes, that's who gets to shoot it. And so you set up kind of above me.
Yeah, because there was like a trail, and it went. We were on like an island.
Yeah,
where he was on this runway facing us.
Yeah,
walking towards us. If he goes down, you're posted up on that side. If he goes up, I'm there with a nice lane that I can shoot. So arrows knocked, ready to go.
Yeah, so we both had him. He's kind of looking, because of that last bugle, he's kind of looking, but he's kind of standing still in this area. And so we're above him. We got the good wind. We're above him. We're looking down at him. And we could just kind of see him go up and kind of back and forth looking. And I move down to the right. I do a bugle, I think, and I set my freaking call down in the scrub oak, and I start walking towards him because he's looking away, and like I know that like I can make it in front.
And I knew that I wasn't gonna have a shot, so I put my bow down. I pulled up my phone. I was
Yeah.
holding my bow, trying to record it as
Yeah.
much as I could.
Yeah, and so this freaking elk is just looking for the bull. And so I have my cow call. Well, I had my call in the mouth, and so I was doing cow chirps. Dude, he didn't even care.
No.
He was just looking for the bull, and I'm like looking down, like, oh my gosh, where did I set my freaking thing? And it has a neck strap on it. So I could carried it, but I was just so
in the moment.
adrenaline that I was like, I don't need this. Tossed it.
Mistakes.
Yeah, and so mistake number one: keep your bull call on you because a lot of people like, you don't need a bull call, you just need cow calls. No, for our trip, they only responded to freaking doing a bull call. And I remember like he's just kind of like looking, and he would not even respond to my cow chirps. And so he starts walking down, and I'm like, okay, I got a shooting lane. And so the ferns are so tall, things look flatter than what they really are.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot more steeper. So
way steep. It was a tricky shot.
Yeah. And so we got on video, and my biggest fear happened. And so before the elk hunting trip, like my biggest fear is not being able to range it correctly
Mm-hmm.
and then missing. And so I ranged this aspen tree 40 yards. I'm like, this is easy money. As soon as he steps out in the wide open thing, I'm going to get him. And he was behind the aspen tree. And so I don't know how close he was to it, but when I shot, I went right over his back. And rookie mistake, I instantly turned around and looked at Logan and looked at the camera, and I was so excited because I thought I hit him. And I should have been keeping my eye on him. And we went down there. I'm freaking out. And we're looking for blood. We don't even know what aspen tree he was on. I had so much adrenaline. We don't even know where the blood trail would start. We're freaking out.
If I hadn't recorded it, we would have had zero.
Yeah.
It would have been look for blood in a sea of ferns. Don't find anything, and just forget that it happened.
And if I hit him, that would have been huge. So mistake was I didn't range properly.
It's hard.
I looked away after I shot when I should have been keeping my eyes on him just in case I did hit him. And we go down there. I set my bow down in the ferns, and we're looking for blood. We're looking on the phone like, this aspen tree's got a mark on it. This is where he was. And we spend probably like 45 minutes, no blood. And we're like, okay, I didn't get him. Look back at the footage. You can hear it hitting a stick or something in the background, the arrow. And, he was a nice bull. Definitely a shooter.
Really good first bull.
Yeah. And, we didn't get a count on him, obviously, because it happened like that. And all of a sudden, I can't find my bow.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it just disappears because I'm stupid and I had so much adrenaline. Now the bulls are bugling down, and I can't find my bow. And so when we wanted to go make a move on them, I have to spend forever looking for my ball.
Yeah. And everything looks the same.
Everything looked exactly the same. So eventually I found it. And then I had to go back up. Oh, where's my bugle?
Yeah.
Where's my bugle? Where's my bugle?
Yeah.
And so
there's zero landmarks. Like everything, you can't go like, oh, it's next to the aspen tree because there's an aspen tree every 15 feet.
Exactly. And all the scrub oak looks the same. And finally found that. And then that was...
I don't know how anybody hunted before Onyx.
No.
Honestly. Because I dropped pins every time we dropped gear. Pin.
And that's something we did too, is every time we found elk sign, we dropped pins
wallows
everywhere. It didn't even matter. It was so many pins. We had that thing mapped out to the brains. We had location names for them. And day 3, that was... I don't even remember what we did after because I had so much adrenaline.
So that was so then after that we ended up working our way further because they ended up we kicked up however many cows and bulls there were there. I imagine it was just the one bull, but however we kicked up a herd of whatever.
Yeah.
And they started making their way down. And so we decided to give them time and then follow, and then it just was rain, walk.
And then on the way back up was when it got crazy.
And that was we walked down and then ended up we knew the weather was starting to get like bad like hail and lightning, and so then we ended up getting up higher to get out of that basin that we were in and sitting on a ridge that kind of overlooked
both sides.
It was like a ridge in a basin.
Yeah. It was like a wrinkle.
Yeah, and so the only way to get there would be to walk back up and then out onto this ridge. And so we ended up walking to the very end of the ridge so that we could get a clear view, and got stuck in the worst rainstorm that we got stuck in while we were out there for an hour and a half, just sitting there.
Yeah.
Raincoat doesn't matter. It's not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's completely soaked to the wind. And then it finally died down. We were gonna make our way. I think the plan was we were just gonna hunt out.
Yeah. And then
get picked up and go back up. And that was one of the advantages that we did have, is like we just had your mom on standby to be like, like if we didn't really come out a lot, but if we have, like that day, the only reason we went out is because we were completely soaking wet.
Yeah, but that was the day. Remember when we were walking, and I started bugling like towards the end of the day, and boom, that elk came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that was right in front of us.
Yeah,
and it was like
35 yards away.
Like we're walking, and I'm like, put the brakes on. I just watched this elk just turn around, run away. I'm like, holy crap!
Because we were bugling from the hill, and they ended up flanking us.
Yeah,
going back up and doing what we did. They walked to the top of that little ridge within the basin that we were on.
Yeah, we had that one that was up there. Then we had another bull that came in front of us right there, all shooting, and we're like, holy crap, like we're in the thick of it.
They were chasing bugles that day heavy, and that's why I say, like, that was the most miserable day.
But fun.
But the funnest day, without question. It was miserable, dude, soaking wet the whole day, like from 9 a.m. until the end of the day, completely soaked through.
Yeah, it was
the
cold.
Funnest day that we had out there.
The most elk experience, like
we learned more about elk hunting in that day than my entire life.
Yeah, and then we took it all to the bank the next couple of days, but we had 3 elk within range, and it's just incredible how easily they came up on us out of nowhere with no bugles, no sign, nothing. They were just in front of us, like, holy crap, where did you come from? Like, we were just looking there 2 seconds ago, and so it was just bad, and my boots were soaked, and so we go down, and we're gonna go back into town, and we get to this road.
We got to it. We set a pickup point. For her to come pick us up. So we're sitting there waiting.
Yeah. So we're sitting there waiting, and I'm bored, and obviously, I'm just gonna keep ripping bugles because it's fun, and I like to hear them back. So I kind of got more confident in my bugle that day, because I knew it was working, because all the elk that were coming up. And so I really started finding my bugle voice, and I'm ripping, and then I just hear this nasty, gnarly, gurgling bugle from way across the valley. And I'm like, I know that's a big one, Logan. Yeah. I'm like, I can just tell.
It was a lion, man.
Yeah. So we're looking, and we're looking across because we kind of got this little vantage point, and
it was like an outcrop, like a ridge. We were on top of one ridge.
Yeah.
And then there was a
directly across.
You can't really call it a basin. It was like a valley.
Yeah, it was.
And then there was another. I don't know how far. What do you think? Like a half a mile.
Yeah, it was pretty far.
And then there was another ridge.
Yeah, and then because there's always creek in these fingers, so we're here at the index and your middle finger ridge. We're on the middle finger, and boom! I just see these mega donkey antlers.
Oh yeah, because you were calling and I was sitting there glassing, like, I'm gonna just keep going. I'm just gonna keep. You could tell he was up there on the top of the ridge.
Yeah. So we just see him come through this like little hole, the sun shining down out of the storm perfectly in that area, and there's just this monster bull, and I'm like, holy crap! Like that is the herd bull. Mm-hmm. This is where he's at. Anything else that's big is going to be in that freaking valley.
Yep.
He was huge. He was responding. And we were just watching him slowly walk on top of the ridge, go down the valley. There's like 3 other elk bugling down there. He's just working his way down. And I was like, dude, if I ever get my hands on that bull, like, I didn't even think I'd ever see him again. And I was like, holy crap, that is a trophy bull. Like, we'll be lucky to even see him again. So we got picked up. Spent the night reorganizing. I got a new pair of boots.
Yep, I had a second pair of boots in my car.
Yeah, and that's what we needed to do, because we didn't have anything to drug him out. And freaking
next morning
went up. That day sucked. Yeah. We just sat there. And that's something about elk hunting. You're gonna be rocking and rolling. You're going through a rainstorm, going, and then there's literally days where we literally just sat there because it was like 74 degrees.
Yeah.
And we did nothing.
And again, like, those are bad tactics in certain places where we were. and we're not going to get into why, but where we were, we didn't have the ability to just
glass. We couldn't glass.
Right, but we also didn't have the ability to just stay like hyper mobile, especially when you know where they are.
Yeah,
like you know they're there. Every 2 hours you would hear a bugle, and you're like they're there, and then for 4 hours they would respond to nothing.
Yeah, and so, that's where we kind of made the executive decision just not to push them. There's no need. They're going to be bedded down. It's 73, 74 degrees.
Oh yeah, that day was hot. Yeah.
And so we kind of just went a quarter way down from our base camp, and we just sat there and literally took naps in elk poop and ferns and
just smelled the wonderful, amazing smell.
Yeah, and we started making fun of archery companies. And
that was
shout out FOB. You literally saved us on that day because I started roasting you guys. And that was fun because we spent like 2 hours roasting them. So, anyways, it was it was a chill day. And we were waiting just in case there was bugles, but we didn't. So we went, back up, ate our food, and day 5 is when things go crazy. Yeah. That's when crazy. So our game plan, we're gonna go to this spot, and there's a rock, and you can overlook like 3 valleys.
God put it there for bugling.
Yeah, seriously. It's called Pinpoint Rock because we got down, took this logging road, and we got to this rock. And I go, I'm going to stand up on that thing. And there's like a huge cliff off the other side. And I got a picture of it. I'll put it up on the screen. And I go, bugle, right? And you can just hear bugling this way and that way and this way and 4 other bugles down there. And we're like, holy crap. So it's like light out. We can't make a move. We cannot make a move. But I hear this gurgly, rasping bugle, and I'm like, that's
not that far down either.
No, I'm like halfway down.
Dude,
I'm like,
not even.
Yeah, like a third of the way.
There was it was like only like 100 yards off of that switchback.
Oh yeah,
was that big rock outcropping where we started the stalk.
Oh yeah, and so we would like
and where we. Yeah, go ahead.
I
don't want to give anything away.
So,
but it was close.
Yeah, it was close, and so. I kept bugling as we're walking because we want to kind of get a pinpoint of where we can beeline it down to them instead of just kind of like going diagonal. So we go all the way across and I keep hearing a bugling. I'm like, okay, we're going to drop down in here. And it's like freaking mega steep. As soon as you drop off this road, it's like freaking, you might as well get a sled and start sledding down. And I just hear, so we kind of work our way down. The thermals aren't good enough yet. And we get to this big rock that's in the middle of nowhere. And I'm just like, we're not moving, dude. He's going to be coming to us. The thermals are just getting there. Hopefully he doesn't come too soon. And he said they weren't going far enough where they could smell us all the way from the top. And I'm sitting there, and I'm bugling. I'm keeping his attention. Every time he's bugling, I'm bugling. Every time he's bugling, I'm making it more aggressive. Every time he's getting aggressive, I'm doing whatever he's doing times 10. And boom, this bull, 5x5 bull comes out of nowhere. You remember that when I was on the rock?
Yep.
And
I didn't see him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But because you were on the rock like looking straight down.
Yeah.
And I don't even know 40 yards behind you, just enough where I couldn't see anything.
Yeah. And so I passed on him. I could have had a shot right there, but I knew that this bull was coming was huge. Just every time at the end of his bugle, it was like just gurgling salt water.
Yeah.
And I passed. He was right there. I could have killed him. I didn't. And it was a good bull. I don't know if it was the one I shot at the third day, or it could have been. It was a good bull, but I just was like, nope. And the thermals got good. And that elk that one we were gurgling, it just switched and its voice started getting closer. So I'm like, I got nowhere to shoot. So we buggy down, and I see this aspen grove. And
it kind of like flattened out a little bit.
Yeah, and so just to give you guys context, this was the worst place to shoot. And I'm telling you, if you want to go on an elk hunt, you need to practice shooting through the woods. And I did a little bit.
And downhill.
And this is literally like, if he doesn't come in here, I'm not getting a shot at him. And it's like, there was no other, it was so freaking thick. I don't even know what the plants were. But this aspen spot was the only place to shoot. And so I'm bugling and I'm shaking already because I know this is going down. I can hear him coming up and I'm matching his energy. And
I can't even really see. Like, I can't, like, see.
Yeah.
Like, I can see, but I don't even know, like 80 yards behind you.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to move because
Yeah.
I can't see.
Yeah, you don't know where they're at.
Right.
It's so thick. You don't know where if they're right there.
And like, I want to video it. All I can see is you in front of me.
Yeah.
And then whatever's going on over here, I got nothing. Like where you're looking, because you're looking at the action, and I can see movement.
Yeah.
And when he would rake, I could see the tree that he was raking. That's it.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of up in the edge of the thick stuff. Then there's aspen trees and ferns, and that's all there is. And they're all big, tall ones, so there wasn't any branches, low branches or nothing. And about 70 yards downhill from me, there's pine trees. Boom, I see antlers poke out. I'm like, oh my freaking gosh, it's the one that we saw the other day on that ridge. And my back, like, the first elk, I wasn't even shaking. It was just like general, like, like, you know, like you just set a PR in the gym.
Right.
This was like my back leg looked like I was in freaking Scooby Doo.
This
Like
was
ling-a-ling-a-ling. Like my back.
This was the best. I mean, it was easily the biggest bull on that mountain.
Oh yeah,
and
it was the herd bull.
It is a damn good public land bull.
Oh, you know, the people I've showed it to were like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And my lesson learned from the last time, I measure with my rangefinder the tree which I think he's gonna come and the tree behind him, and then I take the distance. So it was 50 and 55, and I'm like, if he comes between those two trees, I know that I'm gonna aim for like 51, 52. And so he comes out, stops at this little aspen tree, and just rakes the crap out of it. He's bugling.
I got that on video.
And raking the shit out of this little tree. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, he's giving us a show. He's kind of like strutting. And,
because every time you move down, I was just following your lead. Every time you moved down, I would move with you.
Yeah.
When you stopped, I stopped. You move, I move.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay small, not silhouetting.
Yeah.
So just trying to get in a position where I can see what the heck's going on to figure out how I can help or anything.
And so I moved a little bit just to get better angles through the trees. And I didn't move much. Boom. He was right through that spot. I pulled back. I knew he was at 50 to 55 yards. I already had my pin set. He's quartering to me. And, you know, this is something I regret. I wish I had more patience, and I wish I would have seen what he would have done. But he was working his way north, which would have gone into the thick stuff. And
there was like a wall of crap that we couldn't let him get into.
There's nothing that we could have done if he went in there. And so I let it fly. Poof. I'm like, I think I got him. And this elk just turns around and just walks away like nothing happened. Yeah. And I'm bugling like,
and I can see that now. I can see where I'm in now. I can see. I couldn't see. I wouldn't have been able to see the shot.
Yeah.
But I could see the bull. There was crap between me and the bull. But I watched him after the mistake that was made with the first one.
Yeah.
I was like,
same thing.
Locked in, and
I
was up higher than you, so I could. I think I had a little bit better of a perspective.
Yeah. And so that's something I took seriously. As I learned from my first one. I was like, I'm not letting my eyes off him. So I see where he goes by this pine tree, and obviously there's so much adrenaline. I'm like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I just shot the biggest bull in my life, like ever. Like, I'm never even gonna beat this one. And like, I'm gonna get my first bull is gonna be a PR, and
that's how I described this bull. I was like, if Dawson would have taken this bull, it would have been the biggest public land bull that he
would ever take,
in
and it would be never anything again.
And people around here hear that, and it's like a fisherman's story.
Yeah, and it's not, because we got pictures, and so I brushed into it. I was like, let's go check blood. Why is he walking? Why is he walking?
Yeah,
Why
he didn't run away. He turned and slowly
walked. He walked slower out than he came in.
Right.
And I was like, what is going on? Why did he must be hurt.
Up this hill, across this little creek, up this hill, and out of sight.
Yeah. So you go down there, you know where he's at better than I do. I'm looking, not even in the spot where I shot him.
Yeah.
I'm looking for blood, and you find blood, and I started crying.
Yeah.
Like, dude, through all the stuff I've been through, I don't cry.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the last time I cried.
Yeah.
And when my wife hears this, she's gonna be like, "Bruh," 'cause I haven't even told her that I cried. Dude, I sat down and he found blood, and I was like, I was like, "Holy crap!"
It was
like,
a lot.
it was
a
so-
lot that happened. Yeah, you know, like over the past year, but then like to culminate into like that one little hour, half hour track or whatever that all leads up to this moment.
And like the anticipation, I knew it was a monster coming, and then seeing him, and then him teasing me, he was scraping the trees, and like I thought that maybe I did a bad shot, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I like broke down. I was like, "Frick yeah!" There was like so much blood. I'm like, "Yeah, we got him." Woo! I'm like, "He's hurt, whatever," and
it was good blood.
Yeah, it was a lot of blood. We got pictures of it, and you know, and then I kind of like. Yeah, I was like over grateful, and I hadn't laid my eyes on the bull yet. But you know, I shot myself in the leg with a nail gun, and then I didn't even shed a tear. I just was like, oh, I feel kind of nauseous.
Yeah.
This made me literally cry like a baby, and I was like, yeah. And so we started looking, following the blood trail, and dude, it's like, oh, blood here, blood here. It's like you didn't even have to like look. It was like, yeah.
Well, luckily he walked out on a nice runway, so all the ferns were all smashed down.
Yeah, and they're green, the blood's red, and it was on this side of the trail, and that side. I'm like, oh, as it passed through, we got him. We got him. And there was no point in looking for your arrow because it just would disappear into the ferns. It was literally.
And that's that. Oh,
you're good.
That's the arrow there.
Yeah.
Good luck finding that in ferns.
Yeah, seriously. I literally made them natural color looking, so it's easier to find. So we go across the creek. We're following this blood trail. It's about 75, 80 yards of blood. And I'm like, yeah, son, I got him. And then the last blood spot, that big, the size of like a small toy ball at Walmart. And it's on this fern right across the creek. And that's it.
Gone.
And I'm like, gone. Like, not even micro jobs.
Yeah.
Like, not even a micro job. And I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Well, maybe, you know, he's going uphill something. So he just start looking and looking and
Up
looking.
and down. I don't even know how many miles just in the same, however many 100 square foot area.
And looking.
Yeah.
And we looked up, we looked down, we looked vertical.
Yep.
We went everywhere, not a single drop. So I start calling my uncle that was out there, and he's a huge hunter. I'm like, hey, I shot the biggest bull in my life, blah, 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 this, that, the other. And, you know, people can just give advice on the phone. They're not there. So just keep looking. And I knew deep down inside that I might not have gotten him. So I start calling trackers. Because I'm like, it's so thick in there, bro. We ain't going to find blood in that crap. It's like, it's worse than a needle in a haystack. That's like finding a freaking, I don't even know.
A needle in a needle stack.
Yeah. Finding a hay in a needle stack. But, so I started calling trackers, and I think it's pretty offensive for a lot of people out there. I started calling guide companies that, you know, did mountain lion hunts. I called the local shop, and you know, people kind of were offended that I was even asking. And I call old people from high school, you know, and people are like, just look for birds. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, birds, all right, all over this giant freaking mountain. He could be a mile away. And I was like, how am I gonna look for birds?
Yep.
And you know, so I finally called the CPW, and I'm like, hey, shot this ding dong giant bull. Like, what do I do? And they give me a number, and it's a free tracking service. If you're ever wondering, it's Colorado, it's free. They can't charge you. And we had to wrap it up that day. I was so freaking distraught from not finding them, and like it was so emotional. So we had to go back down to town because I had to meet this guy in the morning at Walmart. And I meet this guy at Walmart, and
yeah, and I had the the sissy mode kicked in hard
Oh.
that day. My knees after
yeah.
that day,
It was just
up and
non-stop.
down, up and down, up and down, and like, you know, as a for me to be like, no, I'm sitting,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man, like I felt like such a, you know what,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I feel terrible, but like I couldn't even
Yeah.
get down the stairs into our room at the house. Like,
Yeah.
I was walking like straight kneed because every time, like,
But that's the
was-
thing that happens out there, and we're not talking a little bit of steep. We're talking about like you're on the bare maximum steepness before you have to start grabbing stuff to climb
and you
up.
can't train your joints. Like,
No.
you want me to go up? I'm good, man. I go up for
Yeah.
miles and miles and miles. Down it was joints.
Yeah.
I can't train for joints.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's like you can't see where you're going because there's so much ferns.
Right.
And so yeah, you took the day off. I got up, and I said a bunch of prayers and stuff, hoping I got them, and I was pretty confident. And the guy canceled appointment to come because I sent him pictures of the bull that we took the first day we saw him on that ridge, and he came 3.5 hours overnight
from Utah.
Yeah, and so he's like, how far is it? I'm like, a couple miles. 5 miles later, we finally get to the spot before you drop down. And I'm like, we're here. And he's like, okay. I'm like, well, now we got to go down there. He's like, bruh. So he brought this dog.
This poor dog.
Yeah, I didn't really tell you that, but like, I was like, it's not that far, man. It's not that far. And he's like, okay. And then I'm like, literally 5.5 miles deep. He's like, are we even close? And I was like,
It's not that far though.
and we were going on like the easy stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, here you go.
Yep.
And I'm like looking straight down, and he's like, oh my god.
Luckily, that area though, like from where you shot the bull to the easy stuff, wasn't that far.
No, it wasn't
Like
that
if
far.
it would have been where you shot the first bull,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
he wouldn't have gone.
No, so this guy's kind of older. He's like in his late 50s, and his dog is going. And I finally get to the blood trail, and I go, and he gave me a walkie-talkie, and I'm just sitting there just praying, and his dog just takes off, and I'm like, yes, got him. And they're just gone. Nothing. And then I hear him on the radio, like, we didn't find anything. We're gonna go for round 2. And he's way freaking down there at the bottom of this thing. And I'm like, holy crap. So he comes up, gets back on the trail. The dog goes an opposite way. And I'm like, I knew at that moment. I was like, there's so much freaking sign back here from so many elk tracks.
So confused.
So much poop. There is no freaking way he's gonna find it. And I don't think the dog was top tier tracking. I'm gonna be completely honest.
He was free tier tracking.
But Timu tracking dog, I mean, that's all I had, and that's the only help I could get. So I appreciate the guy for helping. But yeah, he called me on the walkie-talkie and said we couldn't find anything. There's so much sign back here, and the dog doesn't even know where to go. And yeah, that really sucked. It really hurt. It was devastating for me, especially because how big it was. If it was like a regular bull, I'd have been like, okay, that's hunting. But this one hurt my freaking soul. I could not stop thinking about the scenario. All I could think about was what I could do differently. I was like, oh my gosh. And that sucked. So I kind of just ended the day and went back to town. And yeah, I just pouted a little bit.
Yeah.
And not much you could do about it. But, we picked it back up.
Everything from there was kind of on fast forward. Like I think we were able to check the successful hunt box.
Yeah.
It was checked.
Yeah.
And it's not that we didn't not try. We still hunted every day except for the one day we were pinned down by the crazy weather.
Yeah, and it was another hot day. And
and they just weren't blowing for the rest of the time that we were out there, really.
Yeah, until the last day. And just to give you guys some more context, so like I was going through a lot of stuff at home, like my truck wasn't working, and so I brought 3 arrows. So I was down to my last arrow.
Yep.
I lost the first one, the first elk. The second one was inside the second elk. And so now, this, a lot of people on the internet wouldn't share the story about the failures. But I'm just letting you guys know that like it was successful in how we could track them down easily. Just being beginners, not having any experience, but like we drew blood, and a lot of people are like, oh, unethical, whatever.
Well,
but it happens.
You do it.
Yeah, exactly. So
it wasn't unethical. It's just hard.
Yes, and so, the last day, we kind of were like, we just got to go full blast.
Full send to the bottom of this basin. We were kind of putting it off.
Yeah.
Like we didn't want to go all the way to the bottom of this basin.
All the way to the very bottom, because you're dropping thousands of feet in elevation.
The longest basin that we were in.
And so, after the big bull situation, the elk were kind of bugling, but then they just shut off right after the morning. And so I remember that morning, we heard an elk way up close.
And that was our last day. That was like we had decided tomorrow we're going home.
Yep. And so
day 9.
Yeah. And so I hear this elk bugle, and it's really close to from the bugle rock, we're gonna call it, which I would go to every morning and rip a bugle. And boom, we go. Thermals are being weird this morning, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming up to us. Woo, we're gonna get a shot on this bull. Whew, quiet, gone. He was right there. We couldn't see him, but he was right there, just through the other side of the thicket. Thermals switched somehow. I don't know. It was just like we were good, but then they switched again.
Well, we also jumped those two. I almost said does. We almost jumped those 2 cows.
Yeah.
Or we did jump those 2 cows.
Yeah.
I think they were cows. I don't think we ever got a good.
Yeah,
but
as we were
approaching where that bugle was coming from, 2 brown butts go up the mountain and out of the way.
And so, spook them, and thermal switched up on us, and like, it was just at that point, like you're that. It was so on and off this hunt. It wasn't like they're on every day. It was like, bugles and then nothing, and then bugles and then nothing, and then it was just like, pick a path. Yeah, pick a path.
I think it was just there were elk there. There just weren't hundreds of elk.
Yeah, no,
or even dozens.
Yeah, and so another elk opportunity blown, and finally they just shut off.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dude, we got to go down there. We got to go down there. And so we kind of just came to agreement, like full send, like we're just going to do this. So we just go straight down. I remember just going straight down when we're walking. Boom, 2 cows just bump up out of the middle of nowhere. It was so loud. It was like, what the? Yeah. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, no, everything's being quiet, and there hasn't been a bugle for like a couple hours, and so I just rip a bugle because I didn't want the cows to get scared. I wanted them to think I was a bull pushing in there, and I go, "Meow." And then there's just a bugle out of the middle of nowhere, just right next to us. Holy crap!
Like 50 yards away,
literally, like holy crap! And we're kind of like near the top of the ridge, kind of, and this freaking bugle. I'm like, oh my gosh. We're just scrambling to get ready. Boom, both knocker arrows. Holy crap. And classic spot. So thick, you can't even see it. What's going on? We know he's right there. It was so loud. And there's an antler. Oh, there's a body coming through the trees. And he's coming my way again. Obviously, like, it's just, they were just like anti for you. Yeah, they just would not go your way.
I was just happy to be there.
Yeah. And so I don't know where this elk is coming out at, and I don't know at all. I can't see it. There's so much deadfall, so much pine trees, so much thick stuff, and it's all near water, so everything's 10 times bigger because it's getting water year round. And boop, there he is. His head pokes out. I'm like, oh my gosh, rangefinder, 35 yards. Put my freaking thumb release on. As I'm pulling back, he looks at me, and I'm like, rut-row raggy. So I pull back. He's looking at me as I'm pulling back. I already had it on 35. I know my second pin, and I'm like, got this one in the bag, boys. Boom, right when I release, jumps. He freaking like, scoots. Freaking arrow goes right past his ass. It would have been a perfect shot. It would have been a perfect shot. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. This is my last arrow. And I'm like, bro, I was so pissed. Another stupid rookie mistake. But I didn't know where he was coming out at. And there was no, like, I didn't know what.
That just happened so fast.
It was so quick. It was so random. They weren't even turned on. And then boom, like that. I couldn't see where he was coming out. The only shooting lane I had. And I ranged him.
I think we just happened to stumble into their bedroom. That's the only reason that he was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, another bull here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm all out of arrows, and so we decided to call it the hunt.
Yeah.
But a lot of learning experience, you know,
For sure.
if you guys can learn from anything from that. But
well, I guess we could touch on.
Yeah, let's touch on like.
So I wrote down a few things that I wanted to touch on, thinking about this trip, and obviously you want to take away as much positive as you can and compound on that, and then find the negatives and eliminate those or turn them into positives. So I just wrote down good and bad, and then a primary focus for next year. For me, what was good was my pack was really good. I was really happy with the quality of my pack. It was comfortable. Lot of space. It was exactly the size. If I would have been a little bit more meticulous, it would have been the exact size that I needed for our hunt. Everything fit in there comfortably.
Yeah. You know, and so you're just going over the positives for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and then for another, I have 3 positives. So the other one was like my food / hydration was on point. Fortunately, I was able to buy all the hydration supplements and stuff like that. So I got some Mountain Ops, I got some Wilderness Athlete, and was able to have those. So like I never felt dehydrated. I never felt hungry. I never felt sick. I didn't get tired of my food. I planned like 3 core meals. I think for breakfast every day I had a bagel with peanut butter and honey.
Yeah. And then your food was like pimped out.
It was good. And then I had, for like my lunch, I had, obviously you're not eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, but I wanted to kind of have like 3 core meals that were supplemented by snacks. Yeah. And so then I had like the bagel. Then I had, I made those chicken wraps. So tortillas with the chicken pouches.
5-star food up there.
Gourmet $1 great value chicken pouches.
Dude, I'm eating worse than a stray cat in a neighborhood. I'm freaking like scraping like.
And then for dinner every night when we got back to camp, I had a Peaks meal or a Mountain House or whatever. Like my nutrition was good.
Yeah. And that was something you were obsessed with. Was like calorie intake.
Well, I mean, like that's the fitness. Like that's the part that I like.
Yeah. And so, like, so you got like enjoyment.
Right. And I knew that if I wasn't eating right, it would bite me.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just another factor, a mental and physical factor that I wanted. Like everything about your hunt should be focused on hunting. Yeah. And if you're dealing with sleep, water, hydration, food, constipation, diarrhea, like if you're dealing with these things, they're going to distract from the primary focus. Yeah. So I was trying to take as much of that off the table as possible. So I was meticulous about like proteins when you're not moving, carbs when you are moving. Yeah. Hydration supplement or electrolyte supplement when you're moving, raw water at camp when you're not sweating out electrolytes. Like that type of stuff was really important to me. Yeah. And then the other thing that I had good was our gut feelings. Yes. I was really like, we just followed our gut. Yeah. And that's something that like I'm a meticulous planner. Yeah. To follow my gut is much less natural. Yeah. And I felt like we did that a lot, and I was really happy with how we were able to just follow our gut, and it ended up in good results.
Yeah, and we're not jumping into every single detail of this hunt because we could just be here for forever. Mm. But we had probably like 10 bulls close counter within 40 yards. Yeah. The furthest one was the one I shot and drew blood. Right. I mean, we had bulls like on us, close range, and sometimes we weren't prepared, sometimes we were prepared, but we were in the thick of it. And a lot of people can't say that. My uncle hunted for like 2 years before he even saw anything. Right. And so I actually talked to him on the phone, and he was pissed off because he's like, the only time I've ever had a chance was one time. Right. He's like, you guys just had like this never-ending chances, and we learned when to stop, when to pull back, when not to go in, and when it's like game time, like freaking hustle. Right. Like, and so that's this delicate balance, but that's like our personalities. It's like when we needed to pull back, like you kind of held the reins in that. When we needed to push, I'm like, you better keep up because I'm like, we're going. Well, I'm going. Yeah. I don't care. And that's why, like, if you're going to go, you need to find a good partner because like like if it was like terrible, it would have like if you were going somebody that didn't have the same mindset, you know, like obviously we have different personalities, but like the mindset you need to have the same. And so
you're gonna complete the task no matter what.
yeah, and we're both equally obsessed with it. So
Right.
but yeah, something good for me about, so I went the cheaper route. My food, I made a video about it. I got pasta sides from Walmart, $1, and I got meat sides from Walmart in the pouches, $1. So I bought, and this was a negative, was my food. Is I bought so much food. I have so much food on that shelf behind the camera. From my backpack weighed an extra 30 pounds because I was like, I ain't going hungry.
Yep.
And so I had so much food left, and I got sick of it because it got gross, but that's all I wanted to afford.
Right.
I didn't want to buy like the expensive stuff. Next time I'm going to buy the expensive stuff, but for this trip I had to do what I had to do. So
you got a lot of food for me too, though.
Yeah,
like when we were out in the field, because I just ate significantly less than I thought that I would.
Yeah,
like
me too.
I had my 3 square every day, like my primaries, those 3 meals that I said, and as long as I had those, I would have been fine.
Yeah,
but I brought the Oreos and the Pop-Tarts and this and I didn't want any of that. No. So we'd be sitting on the mountain and I just whip a Pop-Tart at you. Here, eat this. I don't want it.
Yeah, and so, you know, for my gear wise, I didn't have a ton of mega positives. The only thing that you can agree on was my tent.
Yeah,
my tent is
for sure
superior.
Yeah.
And if you guys know what I'm talking about, it's the Haven Tent XL. I have a 10% code you can use as Elevate. I'm not like sponsored, but I got like a thing because I made some TikToks about it. But we got a video. Yeah, we got a video on the YouTube channel you can check out. But that thing is superior, and even you wanted one because anywhere I wanted to sleep, because we moved camp once, I could sleep perfectly level. I can make it a bivy tent. I can sleep on the ground, which I did one night because it got freezing cold, and I wanted to sleep on the ground because I wanted to, you know, make like a heat bubble. But the tent was superior. I spent $350. You know, I went outside of my budget for that.
I spent the same amount and got half.
Yeah, and you slept, and that was your problem. Is when you slept on that slope in the first camp. Yeah, you slept on a rock, a log, and it sucked. The Haven tent was superior. It's just something about it. It was just great. It's a little small. You know, I didn't have the storage like you did.
Yeah, that was definitely my you hear a lot of guys when they talk about like doing what we're doing right now as far as like what their hunting buddies had that they wish that they had. Like a lot of guys will be like, you that was the one thing you had that I was jealous of. Your tent was the one thing. Yeah, I had envy.
Yeah, and I was jealous of a lot of your stuff, like the pack and stuff. But that's something I definitely have to prove. Like, yeah, more positives are strategy. But I had a lot of negatives for gear wise, like my water. I bought the Life Straw gallon thing from Walmart. It's $50. Sucked. It was so bad you couldn't even. It would take like an hour to fill up your water bottle. If
we wouldn't have had my platypus, like I think toward the end of the hunt, like the last like couple of days, we were just like filled with the platypus.
Because it was annoying. I had to be a nuclear scientist to figure out how to get the air pressure correctly.
Every night trying to MacGyver that thing into working the way that you want.
It's like, okay, so I got to unscrew this and then undo that, and then the air pressure will equalize, and then the water will come out, and it's like, you don't want to deal with that kind of crap. I spent like an hour fiddling with how to get the air pressure right so the water could slowly trickle out 4 drops per minute and fill up my water bottle. And you know that's stupid. And no one has to deal with that crap. You shouldn't. Find a good water thing. Don't skip out on that.
Platypus.
I went the cheaper route, but you know, Life Straw has this like high reputation, but it's like, no, don't do that. Learn from this mistake.
That Platypus, man, 4-liter bag. Like it was broke when we got out in the field. Test your gear before you take it out in the field. I opened up that water filter for the first time, and the elbow on it had that crack in it. But luckily, I brought the field a field repair kit of like Gorilla Tape, zip ties. I was able to fix that thing, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, and you're like having a faucet out there because it would fill up in 2 seconds.
So fast. 4 liters of water filtered in like a minute.
Yeah, and
ice cold, dude. That was my favorite thing. Ice cold stream water.
Yeah, that was waiting so at camp fresh, every night. Dude.
So for my bads, I had a couple of bads too. I brought way too much food.
Yeah, dude.
Because like
I don't even know where my food's at.
My-
I'm gonna grab it.
and it was like a weight issue for
Yeah.
me. It was like I brought way too much food because I was worried that I was going to be hungry
Yeah, it's the same thing. I didn't want to be out there and be like, oh, I wish I brought more.
and then have to hike down the mountain and lose a half day of hunting because I had to go to the car and get the rest of my food.
Yeah.
So, but I brought way too much food, and it was just purely a weight issue.
Yeah, it was.
And then, that was my second one. Was my pack was way too heavy. I remember scoffing at like the ounce counters, like the guys who would meticulously, like you'd be on like rockslide.com or whatever,
Yeah.
and guys are like, my matches weigh this much.
Yeah,
and
yeah. And the plastic bag that holds them weighs this
right.
much.
And this is my rookie mentality where I would hear that and I'd be like, these nerds.
Yeah,
And
sissies.
then-
I'm gonna
yeah.
carry the freaking
Yeah.
45-pound plate up there.
Right, and now I'm like, I'm trying. I need to get my squats in. So I gotta bring this squat rack with me. But I will be much more meticulous about that on the next
Oh,
go
for
around.
sure, dude. And that's where I'm gonna get a new pack.
Right.
That's a negative of mine. My pack is a military pack,
Right.
and I think I made a video about it, but it was just like, dude, my traps, I could trap 350 with a bar. Dude, that thing like just wore me down
Yeah.
the few times I even wore it. Like my freaking neck felt like I was just getting squeezed to death, and I was like, gosh.
Luckily,
dang.
we didn't have it on that much.
No.
And then for me, my physical gas tank, like I was conditioned. I was in a good shape, but I noticed like I started to try and diagnose like why, because you remember that like you would be like when we were doing the long hikes back to camp and stuff,
Yeah.
you would be a quarter of a mile ahead of me, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why? It wasn't muscle,
Yeah.
it wasn't joints, it was I just could not catch my breath the
Yeah.
entire time that we were out, and it wasn't altitude. I mean, because we're talking day 10, I'm still dealing with the same stuff.
Yeah.
It was I just could not catch my breath.
Yeah.
And so I did for the final note I wrote like what is like the one thing that I'm going to hyper focus on for the next hunt.
Yeah.
I'm going to start running
Yeah.
like 3+ miles minimum, try
Yeah.
to get out to like that 10-mile mark
Yeah. Just train your capillaries
for
all along.
endurance. I want to be able to go long because I just noticed like why am I in the best shape of my life and I'm still gassed.
Yeah.
And I started like analyzing the way that I was working out. Like it's dang good for your muscles.
Yeah.
But like, and this is not a shot at Dan because he would build in runs and rucks into elk shape workouts, and I just wasn't doing them.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we don't have a lot of like I don't know. Yeah. And like I was adapted, but like
Yeah.
in 2 days I was like good. But I got this mask at Walmart actually yesterday. It's $20. We talked about it before.
Yeah.
That you're not for sure what your opinions are about it, but I think you should give it a shot because I've worn it for one.
Well, I mean, knowing what I know, like I'm
Yeah.
at this point, like I'm willing. Like I figured it would be if I'm in good enough shape, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I realized like I am in good shape, but I'm obviously something's getting left on the table.
Oh yeah, and might as well give this a try because like it really does restrict the oxygen you get in, and but yeah, that's just something I don't know why, but like I quit working out in May, and I didn't go to the gym. I rocked once during the summer, and I just was fine. A lot of people say it's my age.
Yeah.
I'm in construction. I don't know. I don't know if it's just my mentality.
Yeah.
Like I just like it was. I did fine.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like I wasn't tired.
Yeah.
I just I was so oxygen deprived.
Yeah.
And like I even took oxygen
Yeah.
saturation pills.
Yeah.
Like Wilderness Athlete makes the altitude advantage. And a lot of people seem to swear by that. It's just like natural supplement that seems to really work. And I was worried about that. So I started taking that 5 days prior to us going out there, and it helped. And I definitely felt better on day 3 than I did on day 1.
Yeah, for sure.
But day 10, I should have been cooking.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just was not.
No. And yeah, I don't know because I wasn't in the gym with you, so I didn't know what you were doing for the summer. But I think definitely this is something to give it a try.
Yeah.
This is $20 at Walmart. It's got
I think
4 levels, and I think there's controversy about it, but I feel like if you train your lungs to be deprived, like, because I remember, because I grew up in Colorado, when I came to Michigan and played basketball with like the league, dude, I had an infinite gas tank. I literally could play 9 games in a row, swamp people, and not even be gassed.
See, and but like that was the type of stuff that I would like with Elk Shape. Like I was good at like basketball, short bursts of energy.
Yeah,
I was good on that.
Yeah.
It was climb up this mountain without stopping. My muscles weren't getting tired. It was I was like huffing like a Clydesdale.
Yeah, and then I mean, you know, we took our time sometimes, some breaks, but it was definitely I noticed that too, but
that was just really frustrating. And I can't let it.
No, not you got to make it like a point for to improve.
So I hate running, but I think I'm gonna start running.
Yeah,
preemptively.
Yeah, and that's what I got this too, because I'm gonna start running here.
Yeah,
because there's a whole bunch of state property over there, but I don't know. Something I gotta prove on is it's I gotta figure out a different sight head for my bow. I want to have 5 pins, 4 pins minimum. Shooting under pressure. I don't know how I can really achieve that, because like the first elk and the last elk, I was fine. It was the mega donkey monster is when I really suffered, and my back leg was literally like a cartoon, like playing cartoon noises, like ding-a-ling-a-ling, like it was. That was it. I don't know what to do.
That I think is just gonna experience.
Yeah, and so I don't know, but I've been more obsessed with it now than I was the first year because of that experience and because I missed. Wait. We didn't even talk about what happened with the big elk.
Oh,
we got to get into that.
Okay.
We got to okay. Backtrack.
Yeah.
So, my buddy David, I mentioned him earlier. Yeah, because this is important. This is a cool part. I can't believe we almost blew past this. So, my buddy David, he is in Montana for college right now, and something happened in his family, and he had to come back to Colorado after we left, and you know, we finally reconnected. I didn't talk to him for like a year, and so just randomly just feel like I need to like talk to him again, and so because we never texted each other for over a year, and text him whatever, how you doing, blah blah blah, whatever. He's like, I helped my buddy get this elk out, because we were just talking about her, you know, whatever, what was going on, and so I was like, oh nice, Colorado or Montana, because I didn't know he was back in Colorado at the time. He was Colorado, and he sends this picture, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing's huge. And he's like, yeah, my buddy got it, and I was like, did he get it in that area we were at? He's like, yeah. But he didn't know we went elk hunting. Yeah, we found an arrow in it. And I was like, I was like, what? And I said, is the arrow a rip TKO with a gold 50 half out insert? And he's like, yes. And he's like, it had a 50 on it. And I was like, did it have this broadhead, tooth and arrow, double bevel broadhead? And then he goes, yep. And that's the moment I was at the property we're at. I like flew up to the driveway to get better service, and I was like calling everybody, like, no beeping way. Oh my gosh, like the bull, I'll put a picture up on the screen. He got the bull that I shot, and the arrow was right above the vitals. It like was in the back strap. But if it was lower, I think it would have been a kill shot. And so they shot it with a rifle, and it's a monster mega bull. And so that really messed me up. I finally healed after the elk trip with that mental trauma. And then I get back, and then this dude shoots my freaking elk that I was planning to kill the next year. Wound. I was like, yeah, this thing's got to be alive. I'll kill it next year. And then he's like, oh, look at this elk with a rifle. So David, if you're listening to this, you tell your buddy to use a bow next time. Be a man. Use a bow.
How many guys are gonna comment after watching this and go, well, if you would have used a rifle, you would have elk in your freezer.
Yeah.
Shut up. It's not about that.
I don't care. I'll freaking starve before I use a rifle. I'm so over it. It's just the experience was so much better versus just going up there
100%.
and then be like, boom, I shot the biggest elk ever across the valley.
I have no interest. I don't want to talk smack about rifle hunters. For me, I have no interest in.
Yes, and no disrespect to you. I'm glad you got that bull. If you're listening, I don't know the kid's name who got it. But I know it's David's friend. But dude, send me the freaking arrowhead.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get him to send me the arrowhead, and they're completely leaving me on red about it. I want the freaking arrowhead. I want to make a necklace out of it. I want it as a memorial to my failure. And if you can see above me, there's a tag right there. I'm going to put that in front of the squat rack in the new gym I'm building here. And I'm going to look at that every time I'm doing squats as a reminder of my failure. And then I let the biggest thing in the world slip out of my fingertips.
That tag should have been on that bull.
And there should be a freaking mount right here. And the antlers would be touching the ceiling. And, it hurt. And, it is what it is. But I have this drive in me that I have to succeed in this. And I have to go back and I have to go kill one. And I have to, I don't care how big it is, but failing 3 times in a row sucks. And then
humbling,
seeing
man.
someone shoot your elk with a rifle stings. It hurt my soul. I remember I was talking to my mother on the phone, and she just said something. I don't even know what she said. She didn't even say anything that had to do with an elk, but it just like triggered me. And I was like, I have to hang up because I'm so mad right now. I can't even hear your voice right now because it's triggering me. I was like, I have to like go sit in solitude and like decompress. And I'm like freaking out. And,
Yeah.
and then, I got to show everybody that I wasn't just a liar and that was a monster bull.
That was one of the, I remember the reactions that I get being able to tell that story with that picture.
Yeah.
As opposed to telling it before we got that picture.
Yeah.
Totally different responses.
Yeah, seriously, because I was just telling these electricians, we went to their place the other day, and oh yeah, big elk, and I was like, boom, and he like, gosh, dang, look at the ties on that. I was like,
Yeah, well, golly.
yeah, and I was like, see, man, I'm not full of it,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's a bummer, but I have this drive, and that's part of the reason why I'm getting into jiu-jitsu too, is to get into super physical shape, because just, the other day when I did it was crazy, but I'm building a home gym. I'm building like an archery range in the spring. I got like the workshop going. We got the podcast studio going. Like I am going to be obsessed until I get a note. And the funny thing is, I get back from Colorado and I go sit in a tree stand. Whitetail season's right here when we get back. Freaking like a couple days in, and I just smack a 7-point. It's big. 7 points bigger than these ones. 50 yards away, I shoot him through a freaking tree gap like this. All I could see was his shoulder. I just lean over, 50 yards, thunk, drop him right there. And it's like, how does that work? The elk's 4 times the size of that whitetail, and both at 50 yards.
Experience, man. You've just done it 1,000 times.
Exactly. And so, what I got to improve on is I'm going to like shoot like crazy. I'm going to shoot through the thickest stuff. I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing last year. Get better, make content, whatnot. But yeah, it just sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's our story.
1 hour, 59 minutes.
That's hefty.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
No, but, yeah, so we hope, some of you guys got something out of this. We're kind of targeting, real people telling real stories. We're not promoting anything, and you can, I don't, it's hard for people to post their failures online. So I failed 3 times, and like, I'm cool about talking about it now, but like it really did affect me when I got back. I can't stand like failing. Like I wish I could have stayed out there 2 weeks longer, because I would have like made something happen, but just to let you guys know that like real people are doing this, and you guys can do it. I'm broke and I still got to go out and have a crazy experience, and you got a family and you could still do it. And so we just hope that you guys got something out of this, and that was a learning experience, and if you guys are listening to this and you have comments and questions, we're probably going to do a podcast like once a month right now, until this starts picking up. But drop a comment down below if you got any questions. We can go more into the hunt about it on the next podcast. We kind of just give a generality. But, I mean, we could be here for 4 hours talking about every detail. Every detail. So we just kind of give you like the basic, kind of in depth, but not too much. But
yeah, I think it's also a learning tool as well. We can go back and listen to this.
Yeah.
And elk season's a ways away. And that's one of the nice things about getting this down into out of your mind and into a platform where you can go back out.
Yeah, and get hyped up about it, relearn, and I had so much learning experiences about the being in front of an elk experience, getting ready to shoot, that I kind of got it dialed in my brain. I got it dialed in my brain. We don't know what's going to happen in real life, but I know what not to do. I know what to do now for these specific scenarios. But just to let you guys know, if you're watching this and right after it's been uploaded, you got to start saving now if you want to go. You can still do it. You can still do it in 2025. You need to get obsessed. You need to start shooting. I got a membership last year in the indoor archery range this time of year so I could shoot when it's cold. I started saving. Start buying gear slowly. We started buying gear like once a week, every 2 weeks. Just started adding stuff. You slowly build. You don't buy it all at once. And then start working out. Building a home gym here, and I guarantee you that I'm going to be, if I can get a tag in Colorado in the same spot, I'm dropping one, because I'm an independent contractor. I can make my own hours, and I'm not leaving until I get one, unless the season's over, or I run out of more arrows. But
6 arrow quiver, that should be on your list. Your 2025 elk hunting wish list.
Yeah,
6 arrow quiver.
Yeah, and we could make a video about that too, about our gear, which we should. Yeah. We should. You should literally bring your gear over, and we can make a video.
Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, and just so you guys can do it. If you have any questions, just comment down below. If you guys like this, share this video. I had to take like 5 months off of this to just organize my life, and then finally at the place, look, I've been spending my free time doing this. We're finally going to get to a place where we can start uploading content, base to base, kind of, start doing that and start, providing for you guys and showing you what real life is like, and, you can do it too. So, you got anything else to say?
I don't think so. I think we got it.
Yeah. So
cool.
Hope you guys enjoyed the first podcast. Like I said, comment down below. We're going to try to keep doing these once a month, until things get bigger. Yeah. But, kind of throwing some out. Hope you guys enjoyed. We will catch you on the next one. Probably start putting some YouTube videos out. I've been waiting to just do this podcast as a return. So, and then start putting out videos. But
cool.
Appreciate you guys. And I'll catch you in the next one.